The once proud and invincible superpower now faces collapse. Communism in the Soviet Union is crumbling, and the people want out. Channel 2's Bree Walker traveled to the Soviet Republic of Armenia for a first-hand look at life in the Soviet Union today as the struggle for independence continues with courage and hope. Watch Armenia Breaking Free on Channel 2 Action News, Monday at 5. Watch what happens.
You know, historians call this the hidden genocide. And it's believed that the 1915 massacre of Armenians was the precedent Hitler used to begin the Holocaust. It was 76 years ago today that 1.5 million Armenian Christians were put to their death by Muslim Turks in the old city of Constantinople, which is now Istanbul. Earlier today, we were in Yerevan, the capital city of Armenia, to watch Armenians from all over the world come to pay tribute to their victims.
They came for hours. Hundreds of thousands of mourners, making a solemn and silent pilgrimage to a place that is the emotional focal point of a nation. Families with wreaths draped in black ribbons, children clutching carnations and tulips, young Armenian scouts, even members of the Red Army. Every year on this day, April 24, they come to honor their martyrs. The 1.5 million Armenians massacred by the Ottoman Turks from 1915 to 1923. Before the eternal flame, church and state are joined. In this formerly communist republic, where atheism was the official religion, Vascan I, the Catholicos, the Pope of the Armenian Apostolic Church, offers a prayer for the dead. At his side, the new president, Levan Ter-Petrosyan, revolutionary and former political prisoner. For these people, the genocide is not just history. The Turks still deny that the massacres were an attempt to drive Armenians from their ancient homelands in eastern Turkey. So the psychological pain remains sharp.
Let's talk about Turkey's denial of the genocide. It is very difficult for me to accept. It is like comparing earth and sky. It happened. Many people were forced out of the area because of the massacres. We had refugees, 4 families living in our home.
The new fighting in Nagorno-Karabakh, the Armenian region of the neighboring Muslim Republic of Azerbaijan, the mass killings 2 years ago in the cities of Sumgait and Baku, and of course the devastation of the earthquake. For many Armenians, it seems like a never-ending cycle of tragedy and death. Ani Kalandian is a New York psychiatrist working with earthquake trauma victims.
As they were talking about their repetitive dreams and nightmares, what was recurring is that they were talking about the Turks, they were talking about the 1915 more than the earthquake.
There are no words written anywhere on this vast granite memorial. There is no need for words. The people remember. 7-year-old Anush wanted to recite a poem for me, a poem she memorized about the genocide. One line goes like this.
My Armenia, outspoken witness of the genocide and steadfast eyes of our dried tears. From early childhood, I was told about the genocide. I grew up on stories about it, the history. My mother lost her entire family at once in the region of Erzurum. The Turks burned all of the men, and after torturing and raping the women, they buried them alive. Only my mother survived. There is no way to forget.
Meanwhile, the new president of Armenia told me in an interview yesterday that the genocide issue is a tough problem for him and his leadership. The new republic is at the crossroads of economic independence and needs to establish new trade routes with Turkey to accomplish it. But of course, many Armenians can't accept the idea of developing any relationship with Turkey until at least that country acknowledges the genocide. And that is just one powerful challenge shaping the Soviet Union's smallest but most entrepreneurial republic. I'll have more on that and a whole lot of the other issues about Armenia starting Sunday. Bree Walker reporting live from Moscow. Chances are you know someone with Armenian heritage. Los Angeles has more than 250,000 Armenians, including some famous names like Cher and George Deukmejian. And lately, if you ask them about their ancient homeland, you're likely to notice a new spirit of nationalism in their words. In growing numbers, Western Armenians are committed to the cause of freedom back home. 10 days in this dynamic but downtrodden country showed me why. Tucked into a sliver of land at the eastern edge of Turkey and just north of Iran, Armenia is the smallest of the 15 Soviet republics. Come September, its 3.5 million people are expected to cast a vote to secede from the USSR. Armenia has become the lightning rod for reform in the Soviet Union. Freedom is breaking out all over Armenia. The people are rushing headlong from the twin disasters of the December 1988 earthquake and 70 years of communism to a future they hope will bring them both economic and political independence from the Soviet Union.
We are convinced that remaining a part of the Union is the major obstacle to our economic development. Our main problem then is to be able to give freedom to the entrepreneurial spirit of our nation.
Last year, while the eyes of the world were focused on the dramatic military confrontations in the Baltics, Armenians quietly elected a slate of reformers to run their republic, men Gorbachev had jailed for political activism. In September, the parliament voted for independence and, in a dramatic and moving ceremony, raised the traditional Armenian tricolor before a cheering crowd of more than 1 million people. This is the old Opera Square, the Hyde Park of Armenia. It was here, in these heated public discussions, that the independence movement was born. They now call this place Freedom Square. The hot topic then and now, Nagorno-Karabakh, the traditionally Armenian Christian area of the neighboring Muslim Republic of Azerbaijan. Armenians have long demanded that Karabakh be made part of their republic, but Moscow has left it under Azerbaijani control. The mayor of Yerevan believes he knows why Gorbachev wants the fighting over Karabakh to continue.
Gorbachev uses the Karabakh issue to repress both republics. It controls their progress toward independence.
One of the first and most important steps the new government took towards self-sufficiency was the privatization of farms. In February, villagers began taking back their land.
To tell you the truth, we still don't believe that this is our land. We're a little afraid.
It's easy to understand why Alvar Tepenian is still skeptical. After generations on collective farms where peasants had low salaries and low productivity, but high levels of bureaucratic interference, motivation to work was gone. But here in the Ararat Valley, up against the Turkish border, 70% of the land has been privatized. Already, the expectations for the grape harvest are high.
We believe we can make it even 100% better.
This is the headquarters of the Communist Party. On April 17, the Armenian government voted to confiscate all Communist Party property. Now the new political parties will be given space here. But for the Communists, the party's over. Armenians are just in the first stages of their independence movement. They are fighting the central government in Moscow for political freedom. They're trying to move to a free market economy, and they're trying to rebuild a country still in shambles from the earthquake while resisting a blockade thrown up by the Azerbaijanis. But they have a lot going for them, too, including millions of affluent Armenians throughout the world, many right here in Los Angeles, who are committed to helping their homeland. Armenia's reform movement was the precedent for protests in Lithuania, Budapest, and Berlin. But the national concern of Armenians is more personal and passionate. They're focused on a much tinier province where civil war is destroying their ancestry. Tomorrow, a helicopter flight into dangerous disputed territory where battles are growing more bloody day by day.
Fascinating stuff. We'll look forward to tomorrow.
In Armenia, they estimate that up to 100,000 people were killed in that 6.9 earthquake. It hit the second largest city in that Soviet Republic at a time when Armenia was waging its first big power struggle with Moscow. Central Soviet supply lines to the rebellious republic were blockaded, so relief and reconstruction efforts were hopelessly slow. That was the backdrop for our two-day visit to the earthquake region. It's been almost 2.5 years since their world toppled. 2.5 years since they tore at rubble with their bare hands, while coffins piled up around them. The haunting faces at the window of this tiny shack tell the story of the families who survived. Inside, Sophie Sosigian points to the pictures of her son and granddaughter crushed when the school collapsed. We gave lives, she says.
We've waited months, and still we get nothing from the government.
Boys now play soccer on the empty field where the school tumbled. Next door, students work in a cramped, makeshift building. Teachers say their polite and attentive faces mask the turmoil that still runs deep.
We have children who have lost their memories, some in part, some completely. These children have classmates who were left under the rubble. The children who live in the domiks, the shacks, have no running water, no lights. They come to school unprepared, unable to study.
But these second graders, filled with the optimism of youth, dream of a better time.
I wish there was no dust and everything was clean like before, and I want to be happy.
I'm starting to do all my homework and go out to play.
Dr. Mushed Najarian is a child psychiatrist from Boston. He treats children who still suffer from trauma from a tiny trailer on the school grounds. His patient this morning, 8-year-old Argon Yerusarian, is responding well after just 3 months of therapy. Dr. Najarian says that's typical.
And I've learned a lot in dealing with these people, that they have a tremendous stamina and determination that their life will be better.
The old children's hospital was crushed. Today, babies are cared for in temporary quarters in a nearby kindergarten. This is what passes for a neonatal intensive care unit. Sick babies, tended mostly by their mothers, with little equipment that could be called sterile. And in another ward, a toddler who has just had liver cancer surgery, sharing the same room with children who have contagious illnesses.
Right after the earthquake, we received aid from abroad. We came to rely on that, and now aid is diminished. We don't have enough formula, syringes, or IVs.
It's hard to imagine the impact on this community of 250,000 people. Nearly everyone in Leninakhan has someone buried here. And in the smaller villages, the personal toll was even higher. Spitak was called the town that ceased to exist. Even though the Soviet government promised everything would be rebuilt within 2 years, work is at a standstill. A worsening economy, the power struggle in Moscow, and Armenia's declaration of independence have combined to put reconstruction at the bottom of Gorbachev's list of priorities. This old woman told me she's lived in a tent for almost 2 years. Her husband is ill. Better, she says, to have died in the quake.
So you think you'd be better off having perished under the rubble yourself?
But the international community is living up to its pledges. Just over the hill, an Italian village of modular houses, a Norwegian hospital, and plaza of 2-story homes. And in Grashin, Los Angeles Armenians have donated 42 prefab units with red tile-like roofs. Dosia Sokian invited us in for strong Armenian coffee and chocolates. 10 people live here, but they have running water, indoor plumbing, gas, and a new baby that they all dote on. They're keeping their baby chicks in the house until it gets warmer outside. And soon, she says, her fruit trees will bloom. Their surroundings will be green again. To see the bright side amid such overwhelming darkness was typical of the survivors we met. One man pointed out the Western medical technology that only earthquake relief could have brought to them. Tomorrow, the other ongoing tragedy of Armenia, the civil war that's killing off the people in their ancestral homelands. The Republic of Armenia is making headlines again tonight with new fighting in the district of Gedeshen. 23 people are reported dead from Azerbaijani and Soviet military gunfire in the ancient town where we spent the day a week and a half ago. Before today's battles, there were only about 20,000 Christian Armenians left in this beautiful mountain village that Azerbaijani Muslims claim as their territory.
Call it desperation, maybe determination. You can see it in their eyes. Villagers from Gedeshen, an Armenian enclave deep inside the neighboring Republic of Azerbaijan, are returning home. They've been to the capital, Yerevan, to sell their fruits and vegetables and to buy what they need to live over the next days and weeks. The chopper isn't a matter of convenience. It's the only way in and out. For 3 years now, the Azerbaijanis have blockaded this area, trying to force the people to flee. The new Armenian government runs these choppers. It's a guerrilla action. Moscow doesn't approve. At the landing site, the goods are unloaded and new passengers struggle to get on.
These helicopter flights over enemy territory are the last means of survival for the Armenian villagers of Nagorno-Karabakh. It's a dangerous way to survive. At any moment, they could be shot down from the sky or terrorized on the ground by Azerbaijani soldiers.
Arvik Brusian shrugs off the danger.
What can we do? We go when we can, bring back what we can.
Up on the ridge above Gedeshen, soldiers of the volunteer militia are literally face to face with their enemy. Less than a mile separates them from villages where Azeri soldiers are dug in, armed with machine guns, artillery, rocket and grenade launchers, and the support of the Soviet internal security forces.
The possibilities for us are limited. We are a distance from Armenia, and the government is not officially engaged in sending us high-tech weapons.
In the weeks before we visited Gedeshen, there had been 3 attacks here.
Just 5 days ago, a 12-year-old boy from this Armenian village was killed by sniper fire from one of these nearby Azerbaijani villages.
Back in town, the local teacher shows me why the villagers are willing to lay down their lives.
The point of departure of our existence is this land. It is our roots, our lifeline. It is of utmost importance to struggle, to hang on.
On the chopper back to Yerevan, amid the chaos and jockeying to get on, a fight breaks out. A woman smuggles her young son aboard. She pulls him through the back window. The village elder is enraged. Children are forbidden on these flights because the people know that villagers who take their children with them will not return. The flights exist to help the villagers survive, not to flee. He threatens to kill her. She defends her child. She wins. The first shots of the invasion by the Azerbaijanis and the Soviets are fired only minutes later. 23 people have been killed so far in the fighting, including children. This is the last chopper out. Perhaps she has saved her son from the fate of the 12-year-old.
The villagers told me they will fight to the end, regardless of the odds. The Soviet Constitution had promised them the right to self-determination, a promise that Moscow so far has ignored. Azerbaijan remains loyal to the Central Communist Party. The ancestral Armenians of Gedeshen are seriously outflanked politically and militarily. Tomorrow, the economic reforms that are the pride of the new Republic of Armenia.
Moscow lately has ignored a lot of promises, too.
Yeah, their priorities are different now. It is a struggle for independence for Armenia, but one of the biggest advantages this republic has is its population in the Western world. In Los Angeles, a rising tide of Armenian Americans has committed its time and money to helping the homeland. But the price is especially high for those who've made the decision to move there. Culture shock was just the first challenge for Ani and Apo Bohagian of Glendale.
Okay, let me check the computer for you first. Hold on.
Imagine stepping from the high-tech, computerized, quiet, tidy world of the Glendale Public Library to the decidedly untidy, slightly chaotic city of Yerevan, Armenia, half a world away. Earlier this month, Ani Bohagian, L.A. born and bred, made that move, along with her husband and year-old baby Shahan. She did it for a cause.
A lot of our grandparents are survivors of the genocide, and they dream of an Armenia where all Armenians can live united and free.
Ani's husband, Apo, has developed a news service in Armenia, a kind of Associated Press to provide accurate reporting within the country and to concerned Armenians throughout the world.
All my life I was raised, and my personal aspiration was to fight for the independence of Armenia. And now the independence it seems very close, and I have a chance to participate in the struggle.
We first met Apo and Ani in their comfortable Glendale home in March. Then Apo worried that bringing his independent, liberated wife into the male-dominated Armenian culture might affect the way his friends and colleagues treat him.
If you treat your wife differently, they might underestimate your other abilities.
Think you're a wimp?
Yeah, sort of.
Their apartment in Yerevan is small, bright, and modern. But to her dismay, Ani found the city is heavily polluted. The roads are full of potholes. There's a heavy stench of benzene in the air, and everybody smokes. Rats live in and around her building, and she worries that an earthquake could collapse their high-rise.
The problems are many. They're not only getting the hot water, getting the shower, getting the food. It's integrating into the culture and setting yourself a little apart, too.
But Ani remembers she sometimes felt like an outsider in Glendale, too.
I took the baby to the park one day, and I was walking across the bridge that takes us home, and I saw stenciled on the pavement, "Armos go home."
Apo is enthusiastic about his news agency here. He's trying to get the new government to abandon the communist style of controlled information.
Last chance maybe in creating a democratic country.
But he wonders if he's doing the right thing for his family.
Shahan makes me feel hesitant, but he can grow up like millions of other Armenian babies.
Ani and Apo told me they know they're luckier than most young Armenian couples. They at least have parents in California to send them convenience products they can't get in their new life. 10 days in that country gave me a new appreciation for all the things we American parents take for granted. A severe lack of consumer goods in Soviet Armenia is one of the big problems this new republic must tackle. Tomorrow, we'll see how they're doing it.
It really must make you realize how lucky we all have it here.
It sure does. In the Soviet Union, I saw people line up outside the stores at 3 a.m. for a chance at a bottle of milk at 9 a.m. Then there's another line to wait in for sugar, flour, and once in a lucky week or two, butter. There are no convenience stores in the Republic of Armenia. Daily life is consumed by the struggle for bare necessities. But slowly, someday, it will be different there. Empty shelves in the government food store. It's a familiar sight these days to shoppers all over the Soviet Union. But shortages are especially acute here in Armenia, and frustrated citizens say they know why. The neighboring republics, especially Azerbaijan, intercept trucks and trains loaded with their goods.
There is no rule by the central government anymore, and the republics are taking advantage of the lack of control. In fact, the central government tries to crush us as we move for independence.
Each household is issued coupons for items that are rationed, like meat, butter, eggs, rice, and sugar. For months, there's been no butter or meat. But deprived shoppers will buy anything. There's a rush today at a counter where they're unloading blocks of salt. This woman lives on a pension of 190 rubles a month. She says she spends 3/4 of that on food. She blames Moscow for the shortages. And she has faith that the new Armenian government is doing what it can.
She says to split off from Moscow, yes, I think it would help the economy.
We asked the store manager to take us to the storage rooms in the basement. There we found rooms full of sacks of sugar and rice, items people upstairs were waiting to buy. The store manager had an explanation.
These products are available only by coupon. Today is the last day, and they don't have any coupons left.
Why not sell it if you've got it?
We have no guarantee we will have it next month.
The manager did admit they'd never actually run out of sugar, but fear and a hoarding mentality now rule the Soviet economy. But a shopper need only travel a few blocks away to the free market for a glimpse of what this society produces. It's a cornucopia of fruits and vegetables, shiny ripe tomatoes, apples, cucumbers, lettuce, cabbages, and onions. There's freshly butchered meat, plenty of eggs. It's jammed.
I bought some beautiful tangerines from Soviet Georgia for about ₹1 apiece.
Even in the days of strict communist rule, this was an open market. The difference is that now, in the transition to a free market, prices have skyrocketed.
Shoppers complain bitterly about the cost. This woman is a city controller. She says she can rarely afford meat.
It used to be 15 rubles. Now it's 27.
27 rubles at the new rate of exchange is about $1, but it's 1/8 of the monthly salary of the average worker.
How much are the eggs?
This vendor has doubled the price of his eggs in the last month. When customers object, he tells them chicken feed is more expensive now, too. Aida Magurshian is an attorney. Together, she and her husband make good money by Armenian standards. She says inflation is killing whatever was left of the Soviet work ethic.
People deliberately don't work because the salary they receive isn't enough to live on.
You could buy here everything you want. So you could not buy here sexual films or something like that. But
welcome to Armenia's shadow economy. This is a kind of combination swap meet and black market. Buyers and sellers congregate on a hill outside town, beginning at about 5 every Sunday morning. The big ticket items are foreign cars. This man is asking 80,000 rubles for his 1979 Mercedes. The driver of the Audi didn't want to talk on camera. But hawkers of electronic gear, clothes, and videotapes are not so shy.
This one is hard to kill. Have you heard about that?
Robert Mykurchian says people do business here because they don't pay taxes on the profit.
In the United States of America,
yes,
it's near about 33% to 50% for monopolies, for corporations, and here it is 70% for every people. You know, I'm tired of this life.
But the new reformers of Armenia, the government officials, can't afford to get tired of the tedious difficulties of daily life. They're signed on for the long run, hoping to guide the independent republic through the uncertain times ahead. The transition to a free market economy will be challenging, and they're looking to the West for help with that. Tomorrow, the new entrepreneurs who are bringing international business to old Armenia, and Los Angeles plays a visionary role.
Good thing those people we just saw don't know anything else. Were they able to come into our society for even a week and go back to that?
I think to see the surplus of things we have in our stores would make a lot of them weep, Michael.
It certainly would. I can understand it.
Your first impression of a Soviet republic wouldn't usually be that of a thriving entrepreneurial hotbed. And even in Armenia, where the people are known for creative enterprises, you have to look beyond the surface to find them. But they exist in larger numbers than ever before. And some of these enterprises are run by people you'd be likely to meet at a business conference in Los Angeles.
They call it the animal, and it's a symbol of economic progress in Armenia. The animal is manufactured by Armentoy, a joint venture set up with an investment from an Armenian-American company. So far, 30,000 animals have been produced. The new government is so proud of this venture, the president has an animal displayed under glass in his office. The first run was sold only in the Soviet Union.
In a store called Child's World, 2,200 sold out in 2 days.
Now orders are coming in from the West and the Middle East. At $19 each, that means payment in hard currency, good for the country, and usable profits for the American investors. Joint ventures pay no taxes for 2 years. Best of all, the assemblers here make 400 rubles a month, twice as much as the average worker.
You know how much is this set?
The commission store. This one is called Favorite, is another new kind of private business. Sahag Guzmanian used to be a clerk in a Soviet shop. Under the new rules, he could buy his own store with a loan from the government bank. He takes merchandise on consignment from Armenians who bring it back from abroad. Guzmanian sells a little of everything. A miniature department store. He and his employees make the maximum salary allowed by the government and keep half the profits.
How long do you think you'll have to be in business before you are a rich man?
Oh, it'll be difficult to get rich.
The difficulty here is that the profits are in rubles. Right now, the ruble is not a convertible currency. That means you can't exchange it for dollars.
But the minister from Joint Ventures says that will change if Armenia breaks with the central government's financial system.
It will take political boldness.
Gary Tatizian owns a travel agency in Hollywood. After years of trying, he has just set up a joint venture branch in Yerevan. He is in direct competition with Intourist, the official Soviet agency. He says the hardest part of the deal was cutting through the bureaucracy.
It took for the government to have rules and regulations as to how foreign companies can establish offices here, because they don't have the regulations at this point in time. So hopefully in the near future we'll start our services by providing tourist services, and then eventually we'll have hotels and restaurants too.
In their eagerness to reform their country's economy, even workers in old-style Soviet collectives are trying to become profit-sharing corporations. The director of this porcelain factory is the exact opposite of the stereotypical dull Soviet bureaucrat. He was eager to show off the products and the process. He even had a worker fire up the huge kiln. Much of the factory was donated by a Los Angeles businessman, Victor Momjian, owner of the Politics clothing stores. The workers here are about to go private. Together, they will buy the factory from the government. Each worker will be a shareholder. So let me ask you, do you feel like a capitalist?
I've
always felt myself to be a capitalist.
Armenia is moving toward private ownership faster than any other republic in the Soviet Union. We saw it everywhere, even at this little roadside stand near Akarak village. Sweet sujuk is one of Armenia's favorite treats, walnuts on a string covered in chewy grape juice. Not bad. A little chewy. Lucia Ritzian used to work on a collective farm. Before the economic reforms, keeping the money she made at her little stand was illegal. Now she owns this orchard and grows the walnuts and the grapes herself. But for all the shift toward the profit motive, one thing hasn't changed: the famous Armenian hospitality.
She says she wants to come again.
Deadlines dictated our time in Armenia. We dropped in and out of people's lives too quickly, but we have lasting memories of each and every one we met. Some had very few material possessions. Even they insisted on giving us something, the sweet treat here, some good strong coffee there, sheep's milk cheese and heavy bread. They were generous and forgiving. We thank them and the Armenian National Committee here in Los Angeles for its tireless help. And thank you to our viewers who've been encouraging us to focus on a rapidly changing part of the world that's been neglected by media. I have one sad final note tonight. Last Tuesday, we brought you a report on the fighting in the Armenian village of Nagorno-Karabakh. The local teacher, Tatul, walked through the village with me, explaining why remaining in the homeland was worth dying for.
This is the destiny of our people. Our people have been living in this type of circumstance for thousands of years. And in order to continue living, we must fight and struggle.
We received word today that Tatul was killed in the Soviet and Azerbaijani invasion of the village that began just moments after we left.
What you have shown us in these last 5 nights is a country filled with tragedy, certainly, but no small degree of hope either.
That's right, a lot of strong people, and our condolences go out to Tatul's family and that entire village that's being desolated.
Channel 2's Bree Walker reports from the Soviet Union Monday at 5.